A big hello and a very warm welcome to Brand Equity. This is a special episode because I am joined by a very special guest. It's a moment of pride for the Indian advertising industry as well as the global advertising industry, because our very own Devika Bulchandani from India, from Amritsar to be specific, after like years of working up the ladders, has made it as CEO of Ogilvy Global. That's a mighty achievement, and it's especially an achievement for us. Not that she's not just a woman, she's an Indian and very rooted in her Indianness and very comfortable with it. And she's leading Ogilvy globally, and she's here on her India trip, as the leader of Ogilvy. So I'm happy to start this conversation and deep dive and ask her some really poignant questions on the industry. So firstly, many congratulations, Devika. What an achievement, and we're all celebrating your achievement.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, because in India we don't have that many women CEOs on top. We have one who has a media agency. Globally we still have your peers like Wendy Clark and one other, but still not as many. But to have an Indian on top, we've only seen it in the tech space. Happy to see it finally happening in advertising. Before I deep dive into business questions, Devika, how difficult has your reign been to get to the top? Not only because you're a woman, but also because you're Indian, given the fact that we're becoming such a divided world, and in America more so.
Look, any journey to the top, and especially for any kind of diversity or minority, is tough, right? So I can't say that it's been an easy journey, but I can absolutely say that I've been very lucky. And I was talking about this earlier to somebody, to say you need to do a lot of hard work and grit and determination, but you also need luck and you need advocates, right? And I've been very, very lucky and fortunate that in my journey I've had some very critical advocates, and ironically and amazingly, a lot of them have been men. And
that's important.
That's a very important thing. And I like to talk about it because I think it's important for women to hear it, but I think it's really important for all the men who are in positions of power to know the difference that they can make. Because there were men in my life who bet on me, who believed in me, and ultimately Mark Reed, who gave me this platform, right, to be sitting here today, right? So if more of the men bet on people, women or diversity, believed in them, and then gave them platforms, the world would look different and the corporate world would look different.
This is your first innings as a global CEO, but you have been in senior positions for a while. Have you found it difficult to maneuver and put your case and be taken seriously, given the fact that you're from a different ethnicity, and the fact that you're a woman? So for people in the same room to take you seriously and give you that gravitas, has that been a struggle or has that come easy?
It's been a struggle not to be taken seriously. I always say I've had to work harder than
most
men.
Yeah, sure.
We just do. Yeah. We've had to work harder than men because we didn't have the freedom of failure, right? Because the minute any ethnic sort of minority or woman has a failed moment, it's like you go 10 steps back, right? Somehow men seem to fail forward, right? That happens all the time. So I had to work much harder, and I had to prove myself at every step of the way. At every single step of the way, I had to prove myself, right? So that bit of it was hard, but then again, I would say I was also fortunate in other ways. And the fortune was the same point, as I said, there were people who show up, who bet on you, who believe in you, and who help sort of propel your path forward. So it's both.
Right. Last question on this topic before I change gears. There are two schools of thought from powerful women leaders, and I'm quoting Indra Nooyi versus Sheryl Sandberg. Both of them have different schools of thought on women making it to the top. And of course, Sheryl Sandberg says you can have it all, right? You can have a family, and you can have family time, and you have work, and you can balance everything. And Indra Nooyi very candidly says you can't have it all, and you've got to choose, and it's a constant trade-off you're doing. Because I'm never going to ask this question to a man, simply because a woman just carries shoulders more responsibilities as a mother, as a wife, as a daughter, and henceforth. So she says you have to keep trading off, and she's cited several examples. What is your philosophy? Can you have it all, or do you have to
So I have two incredible kids, and who I say are 100% Indian and 100% American. I've been married for 30 years and have incredible relationship with my husband. But if you ask me, can you have it all? I think that's putting too much pressure on women. So it's not the so I don't believe in either one of them, because when you say you can have it all, it's like almost putting everything in the lap of a woman to say, it's in really your choice. No, it's a struggle. It's a real struggle to be able to raise children, to be able to show up for your children, and then have to work twice as hard or 1.5 times as hard as the men. It is a struggle, right? At the end, did I get this job, and do I have 2 amazing kids? Yes, I did, right? But did I have it all as I was getting through this journey? No. Right? It was a really sort of tough thing. So I think Sheryl makes it sound almost too easy, right? And to your sort of the counter argument to that, I also say I did. It was a struggle, but I have 2 children, right? And they're well-adjusted children, and they're fabulous kids, and Arhan and Anya. And then there's my relationship with my husband, my relationship with my family, my relationship with my friends, and I've got a seat at the table.
Just changing gears a bit. Ogilvy is, of course, one of the most respected agencies globally. It's done very well for itself, and it is still known for its creative prowess. But you did say recently that you have the capabilities, but you need a shot of vitality. What did you mean by that?
Like yesterday. Look, the fact that we have the global scale. So let me start with that. No other global network has the reach, or the way I like to talk about it is the presence and the excellence in the number of markets that Ogilvy does. And it's a very important point. So we have the scale, not just of presence, but of excellence. Clients shouldn't come to an agency just because we're there in some market, right? They want to come to an agency because you're excellent in a certain market, and we have that. And we've proven that time and time again. As you look at our performance in Cannes, that it comes from 38 countries. So we have that. That's one thing. The second thing is capabilities. Today, it's not as simple. The marketing ecosystem is not just print or TV or radio. It is a very complex ecosystem. So the capabilities that an agency needs to bring to bear also have multiplied.
Yes.
We have the breadth of capabilities. So we obviously have a thriving advertising business. That's been sort of our core and our heritage. We have a little, it's like a little bit of a crown jewel in our PR business. So little known fact, we're one of the top PR agencies in Asia Pacific. Take India out of that, right? Top agencies. So we have that capability. We have a digital experience business. We have a MarTech business. We have an incredible health business. We actually have a consulting business.
But I guess you're best known for advertising.
So when I say we need a shot of vitality, is how do we show up in a more vital manner, right, on the marketing stage by bringing all these capabilities to bear, but doing it with our core, which is in a creative manner, never forgetting that Ogilvy's soul, its heart, its core, is using all these different aspects that you need in a marketing ecosystem, but bringing creativity to the forefront of each one of those.
And how do you plan to do that?
How do we plan to do that? One is you've got to have them, right? 2, you've got to take out P&L realities for a client, because often these silos, right?
Yeah.
We talk about this so much in our industry today, to say that the marketing ecosystem gets really siloed. But when you have it together in a single agency, and you take the sort of P&L realities out of the equation, we can show up at a client's table in a much more seamless manner. That, by the way, is the operational framework of it. The first thing we've got to do is be damn good at those,
Right.
So we are investing heavily in talent. We're investing heavily in sort of tools and technology. Like I talked about our PR capability, where we do a lot of influencer work for clients today. And we've just invested in Asia Pacific again on AI influencers,
Sure.
right? So that is a capability that we're investing in to make sure that we're talking about influencers in the most modern and cutting edge ways, right? If you look at what they're doing in the Indian market with Content Force, today we have 85 people, right, that are all about developing sort of agile content for platforms, right, that move at a different speed.
Sure.
For all our clients. Again, something that we've invested in that we want to be the best at. So, and I'm giving you two sort of examples that are, that are relevant here, but all across the world, we're looking at where we need to heighten our capabilities and then make sure we have the right kind of talent to be able to use the capabilities on behalf of our clients.
I have two rejoinders to that. You talked
me.
about talent, right? Ever since I joined the journalism business and I'm looking at the advertising and marketing space, talent has been an issue and been a talking point, right? And I don't see the industry having done much to up its own reputation or image to get the creme de la creme into advertising. It used to happen, I think, 2-3 decades ago. You have IIM graduates joining advertising, but I don't think that appeal seems to be there anymore. It seems to be still a problem getting in good talent. I'm assuming that is also a global issue. So what are you doing along with your peers, to ensure that this becomes a more appealing business to talent?
Yeah, the first thing that says, I don't know why we would define good talent as only IIM people.
No, I was giving an example. Yes.
But so I think talent is a phenomena across all industries. If I talk to all our CMOs and CEOs, even on our client, one of the first things they say is, how are you dealing with the talent problem, right? So we have a talent problem across the world. Let me answer this specifically for us. We do have a talent exodus from our industry.
Yes.
So I don't think we've had a problem historically about having amazing talent. But what people are doing is they're switching industries a lot. This is also happening across the board. Right? And I always say, if we want to hold on to, if people are going to the tech platforms, what are they going for? They want to be at the cutting edge, right? They want to be at the bleeding edge. Well, there's a way to keep them. We need to make sure our agencies in our industry, right, are doing cutting edge and bleeding edge work. And I think that's beginning to happen more. Again, I can cite an example that's happened right here, which is where we're using technology more, we're using data more, so you have less of a reason to leave then. I'm not saying we fixed it.
Okay.
My point is we have to be doing cutting edge things so the people who have a dream desire to pursue that want to stay.
Second question is on your investments. You talked about how you're investing in raising your capabilities across offices.
Yeah.
This is a tough time for you to become CEO, right? Very, very complex times. So, one hand, your commercial realities will be very different from, let's say, a pre-COVID era. But apart from that, we're also going through a very rough time with the war, with inflation, with how the markets are performing, with the currency story. As a CEO, will you continue to invest at this point at a time where you possibly have to also relook at your pricing as CMOs get a lot more aggressive in when they're negotiating with you? How are you going to manage that kind of investment going forward to keep things on track? Or do you think most agencies, even highly reputed agencies like yours, will have to look at currently just floating the ship for a bit?
So what is that famous phrase that says, never let a crisis go to waste? So you basically described a situation, there's all kinds of macro forces.
Yeah.
Inflation, war, the great resignation, all of that, like all these sort of different macro forces, geopolitical issues. The economy in the US, they're saying is not going to, it's going to crash, and there's a really positive outlook in India. What are they predicting? 7% GDP growth next year?
We don't know about that, but there's a looming recession globally. I think India will follow suit.
So anyway, so if you look at all these sort of macro forces, right, it is actually a moment for us, and we are doing this, by the way, and I think every organization will probably be doing the same thing, which is really thinking about what it is that we need to do at this moment to fundamentally get ready for the next phase. To your point about investment, just want to say, every organization has to make strategic choices, right? So when I say investment, it doesn't mean willy-nilly we can spend all the money, because we can't.
Of course.
Right? We can't, because nobody has sort of coffers that they can just dip into any time, and we can't because of the macro realities. However, there are strategic choices, and what we are doing right now at this very moment is making a deliberate commitment to making fewer choices but scaling them.
Okay.
Right? So that to me is sort of the critical thing. Fewer bets, but bigger and scaled.
And what would be those macro areas?
So there are three sort of areas of massive focus for us. There's always the continue, right? There's business as usual, and we have to continue doing and pushing a lot of our creative prowess, our PR prowess. But the three things that sort of we're focused on for next year, one is our digital experience business, and and how do we sort of accelerate the scale of it and the depth of that capability, and frankly even the awareness of it. I feel like the awareness that we actually have a very robust MarTech business actually run out of India, people don't know about. So I'm just going, part of it is just awareness, letting people know we have it. The second is scaling our health business.
Okay.
Right? That's a big area of focus for us. So we have a robust business in the US, but again, that's a geographical scale.
Sure.
And the third area of focus is our content business. So agile content today, and that's why I cited Content Force here.
Okay.
Agile content today. It's also that forces us to think about new models of working. Because our industry has been so much about, if a client's in New York, everything happens in New York. If a client's in Bombay, everything happens in Bombay.
Sure.
But how do we use the fact that we're a global network and use ad tech, MarTech, and all kinds of technology we have to be more agile, to be efficient, but at the same time to be excellent?
What are you hearing from your clients, Devika, in terms of client sentiment? How are marketers reacting to this? I know they just tighten their purses, which of course has an immediate effect on advertising. And we've just come out of such a bad phase, and we're instead of it being a boom period, we're going back into being very, very cautious. How are you sensing things?
You know what? There's almost this, what I'm calling, and I said this, I think if you talked about this campaign article, that I'm not seeing clients throw in the towel as yet. And I think it's a post-COVID response, right? So pre-COVID, in these moments, there was a lot more of tightening of the purse, and we're just gonna, but I think we've just all come out of this sort of COVID reality, and it's like, oh, really again? So what we're not seeing right now is this, we're gonna throw in the towel. It is just being cautious.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, let's get to the point where we really have to do it because of what we've been through, right? There is this, the mindset is prevailing.
Sure.
Right?
But are they being tough negotiators? Are your margins tightening?
They've been tough negotiators for many years. So it's not a reality. By the way, it's not like something new today that our clients have become tough negotiators. That's been happening for years, right? Our margins tightening, the pressure on pricing is a lot, which will make our margins tighter, but we got to find new ways of working. This is where creative thinking comes into play. So how do we get more efficient? How do we work in ways where we can actually deploy and employ our entire network, right? So that we can release some of the pressure on our own margin. So we're just figuring out new ways of working and being more efficient in the way we work. We're fundamentally a chaotic industry.
Your predecessor came from a consultant, came from Deloitte, and they're structured very differently.
Yep.
What are the learnings he perhaps shared with you or the organization to possibly think more strategically?
So one of the biggest things is focus on what we'd call delivery, right? So we're so much about sort of the idea and the process and the ideation rules. It's like, how do we make sure that the efficiency of how we deliver that, it's like our own supply chain, I would say, is efficient, is optimized, for us to never compromise on the quality of the product, but at the same time.
Yeah, I find it very funny that clients are constantly putting so much pressure on the creative business to come up with better and better ideas and more innovations, more integration. But has the remuneration caught up?
No. I mean,
No,
we
right?
have more pricing pressure today than we've ever had. But clients have the pricing pressure, so it's like, they have pressures on their business, and it rolls down. No, I mean,
No.
we create an incredible amount of value for our clients, and I wish we had different commercial realities. But we're working through it. And when you have the best relationships with clients,
Sure.
and you deliver for them, I also find clients are very fair.
I want to talk to you about 3 of your big clients who you lost and what was the reason for it. Of course, the biggest being American Express, but Chanel and Philips too. These are long-standing relationships. Are you finding clients increasingly becoming very promiscuous?
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
No?
I wouldn't say clients are becoming very promiscuous. Look, if an agency delivers value for a client, and if an agency is truly doing what they're meant to do, I find clients to be incredible partners in those moments. This was before my time,
Yeah,
American Express, Philips, and Chanel, so I don't know what that was. I can tell you that in the last 18 months or so that I've been here, and I'm not saying this is because I've been here, but we haven't lost a big client. We are growing with our biggest relationships. We are doing our best work for our clients like Mondelez, like Unilever, like IBM, which are some of our sort of biggest relationships, and Nestle and Samsung. So I'm very bullish and optimistic on that.
A lot of conversations with global CMOs, one of the big trends that seems to come out is that they don't have a seat on the table, right, on the management table. They are looked at more as a cost center and not, people who are delivering bottom line to the business. And so we've seen a lot of large companies kind of shelve their marketing departments. And some of them even in-housing a little bit as a trial. Are you finding this trend something that clients will try their hand at and then say that this is not working out, we're better going with the creative professionals?
Look, we are growing as an industry. It's not like we're not growing.
Sure.
So we've actually had healthy growth rates the last 2 years, right? We're winning, not just again Ogilvy, the industry, we're winning new business. Are clients going to experiment with new things? Every industry is always going to experiment to try new things.
Sure.
But I don't think in-housing has made an agency go under as yet. I just haven't seen it.
Nor has the consultants.
Nor have consultants, by the way. Like when they came in, it was like the
Yeah.
agency world is dead. Like we've had pretty healthy growth rates the last 2 years as an industry. So I just think all this, it's like something is going to come and it's going to take the other thing away, and digital is going to come and nobody's going to watch a film ever again. We consume more content as human beings than we did 5 years ago. More today.
Agreed, but are we consuming more advertising? That's the question, right?
But
I still remember the jingles when I was young, but today you ask me to remember an ad, it's tough.
But that's because you've defined an ad in a certain way. Is Shah Rukh Khan, like not just a Cadbury ad, has it made an impact in people's lives? Have they seen it? Yes, they have. Stop the beauty test. Are people talking about it? Yes, they are. Right? The Bisleri work that we did, is that been really talked about in culture? Yes, it has. So I don't think it's a case of like, do we have a jingle or do we have, by the way, there's so much on social media today that an influencer does that catches fire, even for a brand.
Sure.
Right? So I think the kind of things have changed. But when you have the right creative solutions, do people start talking about it like they used to in a water cooler? It's still happening. They talk about it on social media. But we need to have different stimulus. So we can't rely on the same sort of kind of stimulus, right? Because the world has changed. But I think storytelling, we as human beings consume a lot of that because we're wired to do that. Even me sitting with you right now is a form of, I'm telling you my story, and we're learning from each other. That's a form of storytelling. I don't think that's died.
What is it now that you're a CEO and you made it? What is the legacy that you want to leave behind in global advertising?
Let's assume I have, whatever, 3 to 5 years at this job, right? Let's assume that. I'd like these 3 to 5 years, the people who worked here at this period, to say it was the best moment of their career and they did some of the best work of their lives. I want them to have relationships, not just with each other, but with our clients. It's quite simple.
Many, many congratulations. Here, wishing you a absolutely excellent innings as the CEO of Ogilvy, and hopefully we'll see you transform Ogilvy and the industry with you know, your power to enable, of course, more diversity, more women, and of course a more respectable image for the industry.
Like I say, I have the hand of Piyush Pandey right over me, so everything is going to be possible.
Lovely speaking with you, Devika.
Very nice to speak to you. Thank you.